What are you doing in my swamp? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogre and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2007 movie Disturbia. The movie is directed by DJ Caruso and written by Christopher Landon, who would go on to write and direct the Happy Death Day movies. This movie follows a teenage boy named Kel who, after assaulting his teacher, gets put under house arrest for the summer, and at first he's kind of somewhat enjoying it, being able to play his video games and stuff, and then his mom takes away his TV and stuff, and so he kind of like starts spying on his neighbors and stuff. There's a new girl that moves in next door that he has a crush on, and he ends up eventually talking to her, and they end up starting to date and stuff. But him and his friend and her are kind of spying on this one particular neighbor who is acting really suspicious. A lot of people think that, and they think that maybe he might be this murderer that's being talked about a lot on the news, and so they're trying to investigate the best that they can. Since he can't leave the house, he has his friend go over and try to do a little bit of investigating using cameras and stuff. And this was a really fun movie. I remember when it came out, I was like 14, almost 15, and I just absolutely loved this movie when it first came out, and I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I actually didn't even know anything about it back when it came out, except I had heard some kids talk about it at school, but they never even told me what it was about or anything like that. So I went into it completely blind back then, and instantly fell in love with it. I watched it I don't know how many times back when it first came out. I rented it at the Redbox multiple times, and in fact, it was the very first movie I ever rented at the Redbox. But I just absolutely loved Disturbia. It was a lot of fun. But since this movie is one that I watched a lot as a teenager, I was like, you know, this could be a really cringy movie to revisit, because sometimes movies back that, like, you go back and watch a movie from when you were in high school or as a kid, and they're just not as good, and it kind of takes away from your memories and stuff, if that makes sense. But I was really surprised and impressed that I still like this movie as much as I did. I feel like it held up really well, especially compared to some movies that came out back then like this, like The Uninvited, which I reviewed a few months ago. I like that one still, but it just it doesn't hold up near as well as this movie does. But I think that what made this movie work so well is it had a really great cast. Shia LaBeouf was really great in here. I was kind of starting to become a fan of him when this movie came out. Transformers had also just came out, and I liked him in Holes and Even Stevens. I had watched him in those, and there was a other Disney movie, I think it's called The Greatest Game Ever Played. I haven't seen that movie in years either, that I really liked back then. So I was really becoming a fan of Shia LaBeouf, and unfortunately I kind of lost track of him for a while, because after he left Transformers, he's been doing mostly independent movies, so I haven't been able to keep up with him as much as I'd like to. Eventually I'd like to catch up and see more of his stuff. I did love him in The Peanut Butter Falcon, which I've reviewed before and I've talked about many times on here, and I'll go ahead and say it again for the millionth time. If you haven't seen The Peanut Butter Falcon, I definitely recommend it and everything. But anyway, getting back to Disturbia, I think that the rest of the cast of this movie was really good too. Sarah Romer is Ashley, I thought she was pretty good, and her chemistry with Shia LaBeouf was really, really good. They worked really good together. I think Aaron Yu, I think is the name of the guy that plays Ronnie, his best friend. He does a really good job too. I really like him. He was also in the Friday the 13th remake and had a small cameo in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which was probably my favorite thing about that movie, to be honest. I thought he was really good in this. He's really likable. Carrie-Anne Moss, who played Trinity in Matrix, did a really good job as his mom. And David Morse, who plays the villain of the movie, he's just absolutely perfect in this movie. Like, he tries to have this charm and stuff about him. Like, there's this part when he's getting in the car with Ashley to try to tell her to get him to leave him alone. He's trying to be nice and everything, but there was just something really unsettling about him and everything. David Morse is just really, really great playing that type of character. Like, he's trying to be charming and stuff, but there was also just something really sinister and dark about him, and he does a really, really great job. And I had heard that, like, I think they said it in the special features that, like, David Morse didn't have anything to do with the other cast members before before the movie started or during filming and stuff. He didn't talk to any of them until after the movie was finished and everything, because he wanted to stay in character. I thought that it really did kind of show in the movie. Like Sarah Romer's reaction to him in the car and stuff, it seemed like it was legit. Like, she was really scared of him. I thought that was really good. The score in here, I can't remember who does the score, but I think if there was anything that did make me cringe a little bit in this, it would have been the score. There were some parts that were just really, really not that good. Mainly like in the scenes with Ashley and Kale as they're kind of starting their relationship. The music that's playing in the background in those scenes just isn't that good. But really and truly, besides that, there wasn't really anything that made me cringe really bad, which I was really glad about. I honestly do think this movie held up really well. The cinematography is pretty good. The atmosphere is really good. They do a really good job of making it feel eerie, and like you could tell there's something off about this guy. They do a really good job with that, and they build the suspense very, very well. And this movie is PG-13, and for being a PG-13 horror movie, I think that it holds up very, very well. I remember when I first saw it, that was one thing that kind of turned me off of it, because I'm not really into PG-13 horror movies, and back then, some PG-13 horror movies didn't bother me, like The Ring and The Grudge. I thought those were alright movies, but I've always been more of a slasher person, and back then I wasn't really into horror movies anyway, as much at the time, and when I was into slashers, but this movie does a pretty good job at, it does have slasher elements in it, especially in the third act, and I thought they did a really good job with that for it being PG-13. And there's like one part where you see like the blood go on the window and stuff of the house when he kills one of the characters, and that was actually a really, really cool scene. I kind of didn't expect it for being in a PG-13 movie, and I actually forgot about that scene. I thought it was a really well done scene. And like the scene towards the end when Shia LaBeouf is going through his house and he falls on the floor and there's a bunch of dead bodies in the water and stuff. It's really eerie, and the bodies just look really gross. So they did a really good job with that too, and like the lighting also made it even creepier. I always thought that scene was really creepy, and I think it still holds up really well and everything. And another thing about this movie that I had never noticed before, which of course back then I wouldn't have, Viola Davis has a really small part in here as the lady who like sets up his the thing for his house arrest, puts the thing on his leg and everything. I thought that was really cool getting to see her in here, because I didn't expect it. Because when this movie came out, I didn't know who Viola Davis was, because I hadn't seen Doubt yet, which that one I think came out the year before, but this was really before she hit it big and everything, but it was kind of cool seeing her in here too. But yeah, all of the cast in here is really, really good, and like I said, the atmosphere is really good and everything. It does have some comedic moments, like, but the humor doesn't ruin the movie. It doesn't take away from the story or anything. It all works really well and everything. I just absolutely love Disturbia. I think it still holds up very, very well, and it's just as good as I remembered it, if not better. Just really, really good movie. If you haven't seen it, I definitely would recommend it, because I know it was a really big hit at the time it came out, but people don't talk about it as much anymore. But I really do enjoy this movie a lot. I think that it was a really good one. I know back then I used to want a sequel to it. Now I don't see how or why they would do a sequel to it. I don't really want one, but I really thought this was a really good movie. So let me know in the comments what you think of Disturbia. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody. Oh yeah, and I'd give this movie 8.5 out of 10.